first season of Monster Madness, I reviewed the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Along with The Exorcist, I consider it one of the first horror films of the modern age. It was a gritty and disturbing piece of cinema with a very realistic tone. Then a decade later comes Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Nobody would expect it to be as good as the first one, but with the original director Tobe Hooper back, you'd think it would at least keep with that same tone. But instead, it goes for a surreal, over-the-top, ridiculous, and comedic tone that doesn't even feel like a sequel, but more like a spoof. This becomes obvious just from the opening scene. There's two guys riding around, shooting everything in sight. What's their deal? Next thing, a corpse comes up on top of a van and starts attacking them with a chainsaw. Then it turns out it's Leatherface. But why in the holy fuck is he holding a corpse in front of him? This time, Leatherface is played by Bill Johnson instead of Gunnar Hansen from the original. Not that it really matters, but the character now acts completely different. He's constantly doing this stupid dance with his chainsaw. And I'm not kidding, he does this the whole movie. Then there's Chop-Top, played by Bill Moseley. He has one of the best introductions. His first scene is where he comes into a radio station, uninvited, just an obsessed fan.
You're my fave. Me and Bubba, my little brother, we listen to you every night.
To make things even more weird, he has a metal plate in his head which he keeps picking at with a hot coat hanger. Chop-Top is one fucked up dude. The last of the villains is the old man played by Jim Saito. He's more stable than the other two characters, but just as disturbing. And he's the only returning actor from the original film. Then you have the good guy played by Dennis Hopper, and would you know, he's crazier than all of them. He's a sheriff, so you'd think he would just use a gun, but instead he decides to go after Leatherface with his own weapon, a chainsaw.
I'm the Lord of the Harvest.
And he's got three of them, one in each arm and one strapped to his belt. What a maniac.
Bring it all down! Bring it all down! I'll take you back to hell! I'll take it out!
Then there's the radio DJ played by Caroline Williams. She's the only normal character. She spends the whole time being freaked out, as anybody would, but the weird part is that she becomes Leatherface's love interest. There's actually a scene where he dry humps her with the chainsaw. What the hell is that all about? The final scenes just get even crazier. Dennis Hopper goes nuts. And he fights Leatherface, which has to be the most epic confrontation since King Kong vs. Godzilla. Leatherface continues to fight even after he's had a chainsaw rammed through his body. When I first saw this movie, I hated it, but over the years I've grown a certain appreciation for it. It's a comedy. The title is a bit misleading. I think this is one instance where there shouldn't be a number 2 at the end, because it shouldn't be considered a sequel. It's a parody. But if you look at how the poster mocks The Breakfast Club, that should be an indication of how off the wall this movie is. I suppose Hooper was so aware that he couldn't top the original, so he went for something completely different. He wasn't involved in any of the further sequels, and from there, they just kept being ridiculous.
Motherfucker!
What started as a serious horror film just became a sick, twisted mockery, man.